Proverbs chapter 20 verse 5 states that the intentions of a man's heart are deep waters, but a man of understanding draws them out. My own personal golden rule of counseling is based on this verse. It is to depend on the Holy Spirit to become a counselor of understanding who is able to draw out the intentions springing from the feelings, beliefs, and attitudes of a client's heart in a manner that is helpful to him or her. A few verses that support social justice are when Jesus says, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them," in Matthew 19:14. He doesn't want anything to stop the small and weak to having full access to himself. To me, his exclamation is the perfect expression of social justice advocacy because he wants this vulnerable population in his society to have full access to the eternal, holy resource of himself. Another passage which displays social justice practiced in Jewish society is set in the agricultural context of letting the poor pick up fallen grain during harvest. In Ruth chapter 2, Ruth has gleaned some fallen grain from a field for herself and Naomi, but when Boaz makes her acquaintance, he tells her to gather in a different field along with his female servants and informs her that he has ordered the young men not to touch her. Later on, he tells his young men, "Let her even gather grain among the bundles, and don't humiliate her. Pull out some stalks from the bundles for her and leave them for her to gather. Don't rebuke her." I think the example of Boaz can inspire modern-day social justice activists because he uses his position of influence to remove barriers existing between Ruth and the basic resource of food, while he and Ruth remain in different gender, racial, and socioeconomic groups. He removes the physical barrier of great energy needed to collect grain from vast fields by allowing her to collect from bundles. He also curtails the probable internal barrier of fear by informing her that he has commanded the young men not to touch her. He also privately seeks to diminish another possible internal barrier of shame by instructing his young men not to humiliate or rebuke her. His actions point to the fair supposition that he has thoroughly considered what it might be like to be Ruth. I'd like to work for social justice in my community like Boaz by researching what current public and private services exist for the children of people with mental illness in Pittsburgh. From my own personal experience, having a severely mentally ill parent can deny adequate access to the educational, social, and enrichment activities which many other children with healthy parents enjoy. I plan to pray and ask God how He would like me to serve this group. I'd like to serve alongside church members who are compassionate about these children and skilled mental health care workers. I've enjoyed learning about social justice and counseling this week.